Unfortunately, Meghan just cannot decide whether she wants to be on SportsLine or travel as far away from it as she possibly can. But no worries, of course I'll always be there for the deserving SportsLine fans. I'm Riley Kapchuk.
And I'm Charlie Hugg. Meghan gets to start her spring break early while I'll be waking up at 6 a.m. tomorrow to teach Chapter 9 of the Odyssey. Will Meghan run into a Cyclops on her travels? Probably not. Will she be watching every second of the new SportsLine episode? You best believe it. You're watching LaSalle TV's home for Explore Athletics, SportsLine.
Welcome to SportsLine. Meghan may be missing, but you know what never misses? LaSalle Sports. And we have all of this week's coverage.
And later, Riley sat down with members of the women's lacrosse team to talk about the start of their season. You won't want to miss it.
But first, let's take a look at our SportsLine top 3.
Number 1. Nicole Melius was named the A10 Rookie of the Week this week. The freshman guard averaged 20 points per game over 2 games this week, shooting 48% from the field and 47% from 3 during the span. Melius tied a LaSalle record with 8 threes in a game during her 28th performance in Saturday's 98-93 win over Fordham.
Number 2, the LaSalle women's basketball team set a program record for most threes in a game against Fordham over the weekend. On top of Nicole Melissa's team leading 8 threes, the rest of the team added 12 more to set the record at 20 threes, breaking the record that was previously held at 16.
And number 3, Christine Mancini has been named this week's NovaCare Student Athlete of the Week. The graduate student took home gold in the 800-meter run at the ECAC IC4A championships this past week. Riley, welcome to the show.
Happy to be
nice
back.
Have you back. Always a pleasure. So to start, we got 2 women's basketball in the top 3 today. Something we haven't seen in a while, but I mean, well-deserved. Nicole Melius, anytime they get recognition in the conference division, we'll always bring them up. So Rookie of the Week is awesome. Definitely well-deserved. 8 threes in one game was really cool. And then going on to their team, helping her out and scoring even more, and then reaching 20 in one game, setting a record. Pretty cool, and something that they definitely needed, especially with how their season's been going.
And all season long, Nicole's name has definitely not been mentioned. It's been mentioned a lot. She's definitely that star freshman, and it's good to have her for the team and playing as good as she's playing this season.
Yeah, absolutely. We mentioned a couple of the seniors that they lost last year. Their presence has been felt, or I guess their lack of presence has been felt. So it's nice to see some players coming in and filling those roles, and especially a freshman. It's going to be awesome to see her develop throughout this program.
That's it for the top 3. Now let's see how our teams did in this week's recap. Men's basketball took on George Washington this past Saturday for their final game at the Tom Gola for the season. Senior Anwar Gill started the game with swift 5 points to make it a tie game early on. Deshaun Shepard nailed a 3 to give the Explorers a short-lived lead, but George Washington would score the next 5 to make the score 10-8 going into the first media timeout. Rokas Yoshis came out of the media timeout scoring 5. This, plus by a 3 by Khalil Brantley, would put the Explorers back in the lead with a score of 18-13. The team would go back and forth before Ryan Zan would score 6 straight points, increasing the Explorers' lead to 9. A little help from Anwar Gill and a couple of free throws would increase the lead to double digits, making it 38-25. Five more points from GW would cut the lead slightly, but the Explorers would still lead 38-30 heading into the half. LaSalle managed to keep the lead for the first part of the second half, despite GW slowly chipping away at it. Rokas Yoshis was able to keep the lead afloat until an 8-0 run from GW would give them the lead for the first time since earlier in the game. LaSalle found the lead again for a brief moment, but GW took it right back, making it 56-55. Back-to-back buckets from Brickus and Brantley would return the lead to the Explorers with 7 minutes and 58 seconds remaining in the game. A slam dunk from Shepard, thanks to an assist from Brantley, would build their lead back up to 4. The Explorers would go on to score 8 of the next 12 points, ending with another slam dunk from Shepard to seal the deal and to close out their season at the Tom Gola Arena with a win, with the final score being 72-66.
The LaSalle women's basketball team traveled up to the Bronx this past week to conclude their regular season against the Fordham Rams. The Rams came out of the game hot, scoring the game's first 7 points. The Explorers would sub in Emily Tejada shortly after, who exploded for 9 points on back-to-back-to-back three-pointers in just under 2 minutes. Nicole Melius, who had a solid first half, did not score her first points until the end of the first quarter, but her effort would give the Explorers a 13-9 lead. Another Melius three, followed one by Jolene Armendariz, would give LaSalle a 19-15 lead heading into the second. Tiara Bolden would secure a three-point play off a foul to start the quarter before the Explorers' three-point barrage continued. 2 more threes from Melius and one from Molly Massantonio gave the Explorers a 33-24 lead. Bolden led the charge for the Explorers down the stretch with a couple big buckets, and the game would head into halftime with a 41-30 LaSalle lead. Much like the first half, the Explorers would come out of the break hot from beyond the line. Massantonio hit a three for the first points of the half, which was followed by 2 more threes from Melius, bringing her total to 17 early in the third. The Rams, led by conference scoring leader Taylor Donaldson, would keep the game in reach, however. It was the use of the three that helped the Explorers retain their lead, as 8 of 9 scoring possessions came from beyond the arc. The 25-point period would end with the Explorers on top 66-51. With the help of Donaldson, the Rams would keep it competitive in the fourth, answering every opportunity the Explorers could find. It was back and forth between Donaldson and Melius in the final frame. The Rams cut the lead to 10 off a Donaldson three, but Melius would answer with her 6th three-pointer of the day to extend the lead. The lead would eventually get cut down to as little as 5 in the fourth, but efforts from Michaela Miller and Nicole Melius would let that be as close as it would get, and they would ultimately win the game 93-83. Nicole Melius led the team with a record-tying 8 threes and 28 points, while Tiara Bolden had a career day of her own, dropping 25 points on 4 from 8 shooting from 3. Overall, the team would shatter the program three-point record with 20 in the game, snapping their 8-game losing streak. Then last night, the women's basketball team would end their season against Massachusetts in the first round of the A-10 Women's Basketball Championships. The Minutewomen would come out firing out of the gates, knocking down shots in the first few minutes. The Explorers answered with a turnover with points from Molly Massantonio. Michaela Miller added point of her own with a driving layup, followed by Massantonio with a free throw conversion that would tie the game at 5. For the remainder of the half, the Explorers would fall behind as UMass took control of the game until Massantonio would kickstart the Explorers' offense with the first three-point shot of the day, followed by a possession that turned into another three-pointer by Tiara Bolden that would cut the lead from UMass to 3 points. Melius would get her first points of the day to tie the game at 20 with about a minute left in the half. The Minutewomen would end the half up 2 points, but Melius came out strong in the third with a three-pointer that would gain LaSalle the lead. It was quickly answered by UMass until LaSalle went on a short run with back-to-back threes from Melius and Jolene Armendariz. UMass defense held the Explorers to just 1 point the rest of the quarter. For the fourth, the Minutewomen would extend their lead and the Explorers would not be able to come back in time, ending the game end of their season with a 54-49 loss.
Last Saturday, lacrosse returned to the McCarthy Stadium to host UMBC in a challenging back-and-forth matchup. The game started with UMBC containing possession from the draw, with UMBC firing a shot and scoring almost immediately. However, LaSalle wasted no time in responding, with Maddie Henderson equalizing the score just over a minute later. The repetitive pattern of the game continued as UMBC added another goal, only to see Alana Lathan strike back for the Explorers. UMBC then shifted into high gear, scoring 3 unanswered goals. The quarter ended in favor of UMBC, with them leading 5-2. LaSalle came back striking in the early stages of the second quarter, responding to UMBC's earlier dominance. Henderson, Lathan, and Mackenzie Click fired in quick succession, tying the game at 5 in just 2 minutes. Unfortunately, UMBC secured a 9-5 advantage at halftime. The third quarter saw LaSalle initiate a mini run, with Lathan scoring her 3rd goal in a woman-up situation, trimming the UMBC lead to 4. Before the clock ran out, Claudia Steinmans notched another goal, bringing LaSalle within 3 points. However, the final quarter belonged to UMBC as they successfully scored 4 goals, securing a commanding 14-7 lead to conclude the game.
Last weekend, a few of our track and field Explorers journeyed to Boston for the ECAC IC4A Championships. Graduate student Christine Mancini concluded the indoor season with yet another outstanding performance, clinching gold in the 800-meter run. Although trailing in second place for most of the race, Mancini surged ahead on the final lap, overtaking the Atlantic 10 champion Lily Saul by a mere 0.03 of a second. This victory marked Mancini's 2nd medal at the ECAC IC4A Championships, following her bronze win in the mile last season. In addition to Mancini's stellar display, freshman Soleil Morrison wrapped up a remarkable debut indoor track season with the Explorers. After setting a new school record in the 400-meter dash at A10s, Morrison surpassed her previous mark not once but twice at the ECAC IC4As. She finished 4th in the final on Sunday, clocking in at 55.86 seconds. The final LaSalle runner to make the final of her competition was freshman Gweno Good, who took 6th place in the mile. The finish earned 3 points for LaSalle in the team standings, where they finished 14th out of 34 teams with 18 points.
Wow. That was a lot.
Yes, a lot to talk about this week, which is always a good thing.
Yeah.
A lot of championships and a lot of playoffs. So we'll head back. Basketball with their last game at Tom Gola Arena. Very exciting game. A great way to cap off a great career at Tom Gola Arena, like 25 years. Dayshawn Shepard had a huge put-pat dunk at the end of the game, and it was kind of poetic almost, just like a great cap to what Tom Gola Arena was. Yeah, the energy in the stadium was awesome. It was what they deserved for that last game. And to see Tom Gola's wife in the stands, that was really cool too. So that moment itself was enough to
it was really nice seeing her light up the L for the last final game. But like you said, like Shepard, usually like toward any game, he always has that like big play. And especially it was really good like conclusion to the final game. And they did have a really good season overall. Like they still have a couple more games to go, but overall the regular season went a lot better than a lot of people expected, and that's good on their behalf. So next season should be more in their favor. Yeah,
absolutely. Finishing off the season strong is exactly what we wanted to see, and you can see the impact of Fran Dunphy again. Only his second year. We've talked about him plenty on the show, but just the culture of the team from a couple years ago to now, they had a huge stretch at the end of the season, and I think he had a lot to do with that, a lot of just up-tempo play. And again, that Dayshawn Shepard dunk, great cap off to the arena, but also helped them secure the game. So it was a big moment all around. The women, we'll talk about them setting records, a personal record, tying it with 8 threes, and then breaking the record of 23s. Mentioned it earlier, but that was a game that they really needed to play well in. They were in an 8-game losing streak. So breaking that drought was nice, and doing so in like a record-breaking way must have felt good for them.
We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, I had the chance to sit down with some members of the women's lacrosse team earlier this week. Stay tuned.
I drive 65,000 miles each year in my bus. If people knew what I know, lives could be saved. You don't want to be in the blind spot of a 40,000-pound bus when I have less than a second to react. I do what I can by changing lanes and taking turns slowly. It really helps when people look out for me too. Give me room to operate safely. It's our roads. It's our safety.
Dear University of...
Thank you for your offer
to become student ID number 283471.
While I appreciate your desire
for my impeccable academic record,
I must decline the opportunity
to get a generic degree.
I've decided to tell my story.
To be a student,
not a statistic.
I wish you good luck in the future
as I embark on mine.
Had the chance to sit down with the women's lacrosse team members Alana Lathan and Katie Johnson to talk about the start of their season. Let's take a look.
Welcome back to On the Sideline. I'm Riley Kavchuk, and joining me today is Katie Johnson and Alana Lathan from our very own lacrosse team here at LaSalle. How are you guys today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. So you guys are currently 2-3, which is an amazing start considering past seasons. And you guys just had a crazy blowout game win versus Howard, which is 21-4. So congrats on that.
Thank you.
I'm going to start with Katie. Katie, you had 5 goals in this game alone. Could you just describe yours and the team's feeling going into this game?
I think it was really exciting knowing, that this team hasn't had the best record, but, that we've also been in that position and sort of taking it with a grain of salt and sort of taking that as a leap of confidence and going in there and just being confident and knowing that we can definitely do this if we just play our game.
Do you know when and how that certain momentum came to the team where you guys just started shooting goal after goal?
Honestly, I think it was like right off the bat. Gina D'Angelo got 2 goals within like 2 minutes, and then we just kept going. I think, being that team to have that momentum is definitely a really good feeling, and knowing that we could keep it the whole game was what kind of kept us going. So, like, keeping that same pace, keeping that same momentum, and then once we got, sort of a safe gap between us and Howard, it was just nice. We took the brakes on, and just kind of played calm, played with a lot less chaos than we usually do, and played with confidence.
Perfect. And Alana, would you say this win specifically had some sort of positive influence to the team? Like, hey, you saw the offensive side do this right, so maybe if we do this again, then it would just keep multiplying throughout, just not this game, like any game.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, clearly coming away with a win is always like a good feeling, but we just made sure to like go into this game with like not underestimating everyone, but making sure that we play our own game and just trusting like what we've put into offense, what we put into defense, and definitely like, when we're scoring goals, when we're getting defensive stops, like it just hypes everybody else up on the field. So then when you have your teammates back, it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah. And then could you both kind of describe your team's like team chemistry? You can start.
Yeah, I'd say our team is really close. I think that's one of the big things that brought me here, is just knowing that sort of coming in, there's that sort of family-like atmosphere, especially in LaSalle athletics, as in a general sense. There's a sense of community that I've always liked. We're a pretty small school, so knowing that you know everyone, they're always going to have your back is really nice. But also knowing that that's a part of our team. So yeah, I think it's been growing over the years, and this year especially, like from our 5th year Liza Del Rada to our freshmen, everyone's really close and really open to kind of learning and growing together and as one. Yeah.
And what would you say?
I'd say definitely like coming in as a transfer, I noticed that the chemistry was like immediate. Like it's not just like an on the field relationship. It's like everyone's texting each other all the time, and like on campus we're always like talking to each other and just like constantly keeping up with each other's lives. And it's not, to Katie's point, it's not like a separation between like class or anything like that. Like we're very inclusive. We go to dinner as just pregame, not on a game for a weekend thing. Like it's never, it's just always constantly like interacting to make sure that we're staying on the same page.
And do you guys both think, like not just the lacrosse team alone, but any sports team should have that kind of chemistry that your team has in order to make reliable relationships on and off the field?
Yeah, I think that team chemistry is a huge, huge, huge part of for a sport that is a team sport. Even for ones that are just individual sports, knowing that other people have your back is a game changer. I think that, there's just a difference in playing with a team that, trusts you, trusts what you're going to do, trusts your next move, versus a team that might, not necessarily trust it. You just kind of have that confidence, that extra confidence that everyone needs to play their own game.
Yeah, and then bouncing off that, so you're both attackers. Would you say the trust is there on the offensive side when it gets there? Or is there something that you feel like there's still like one little aspect that needs to be worked on? You can start.
I'd say that I think we all trust each other. Like it's definitely, I think to Katie's point earlier, like we all know each other on the field and also off the field. So like we have like an emotional connection. Like if I make eye contact with Kate across the field, I know what she's thinking.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
That you can only get if you're like actually friends as well. I think we do have trust in each other, definitely. But this, fundamental things, stuff like that, like a drop ball, missed ground ball, like a not so great pass, definitely like can be cleaned up. But I mean, that's just like all part of the process and like improving what we've got.
And you'd say the same, basically.
Yeah, I'd say the same. I think like trust is definitely not something we struggle with. It's just knowing, who's going to do what. We have this saying called KYP, which is know your person, know your place also, but kind of knowing each other's roles and sort of, looking at them to do those roles is sometimes when we have faults and stuff, but always growing those fundamentals, growing, doing those roles, actually executing them is always going to be a work in progress.
Yeah, definitely. So Katie, going back a couple years, and Alana, even to when you played at George Mason, what's one piece of advice you wish someone would have gave you or you would give your past self?
I can go first. I'd say a big piece of advice that I would have given my past self or just someone coming in is to kind of always keep working, never be content. I think, it's easy in especially college athletics and coming in from, high school where you were probably one of the higher level athletes, kind of becoming content with, where you're at. But I love a challenge, and I love always trying to, learn a new skill, whether that's on my own, whether that's through my coach, whether that's through my teammates. I love challenging myself. And I, continue to do it, and I will continue to do it until I graduate. But I think always improving and always looking for that next sort of thing about how I can improve my game is something that has definitely benefited me through the years. Because if I stayed content freshman year, I probably, wouldn't see the field.
Right.
You're always looking to kind of get to that next step.
I'd say probably human over the athlete usually is what comes to mind. Not necessarily just to downplay the athlete thing at all, but you're so worked up, especially my freshman year. I was very focused on being an athlete. You're D1, you gotta live up to this standard and make sure that you're performing at a high level all the time. But you also are human, and you're going through a lot of physical, emotional, mental challenges just in general, just from a practice to a game, whatever. So just remembering that I'm also just a real human being kind of brings me back, and then I can perform better and kind of find my feet where I'm at, and then just continue from there.
Yeah, that's good. I feel mental health and physical health isn't not physical health, but how you're feeling in a game isn't really talked about, because that really reflects how you play, how you practice as a team. So that's good. And then, has there been any sort of personal goal you set for yourself that you achieved, or you're still trying to achieve this season alone?
Yeah, I'd say personal goal of mine before the season, I'd say definitely being one of the prominent scorers. I think whether it's a fault or sort of a good thing, kind of being an upperclassman, I look at myself, and I sometimes tend to put too much pressure, but look at myself as one of the people that should be that prominent player. I'm upperclassman now, should be making those moves. So I kind of went into the season hoping that would happen. And it's happened a couple times, but I think my goal going forward would be to stay more consistent. I think, when we do play those better teams, I tend to not perform as much as I want to. So I think going forward, especially going into conference play and knowing there's so many teams that are at our level and that we can win, is just staying at that consistent level of, hoping to be a prominent scorer.
Yeah, I would just say putting a full 60 minutes together. Last year I noticed that most of my stats, whether it was assist, a goal, whatever, was always in the first half. When one of our problems last year was we'd have a quarter where all of us just drop off, and then we'd show up for the fourth quarter or whichever one it was. So just putting a full 60, definitely consistency all around. It doesn't necessarily have to be goals or assists, but just just having my teammates back, picking up a ground ball wherever I can get it, just moving offense if that's what it takes, just making sure we can put a full game together.
Well, again, amazing start to the beginning of your season. I wish you the best of the luck continuing the season. So now we're going to go back to the show. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we have all of next week's upcoming games. Stay tuned.
Hi, I'm Joanna Van Fine, class of 2007, and you're watching LaSalle 56.
It's LaSalle TV.
Oh, right, of course. All right, I'll do it again. Hi, I'm Joanna Van Fine, class of 2007, and you're watching LaSalle 56. You're watching LaSalle 56. Oh, God. Hi, I'm Joanna Van Fine, class of 2007, and you're watching LaSalle 56. Can't do it. Hi, I'm Joanna Van Fine, class of 2007, and you're watching LaSalle 56. Oh, okay. Hi, I'm Joanna Van Fine, class of 2007, and you're watching LaSalle 56.
It's right behind you.
LaSalle 56.
TV.
LaSalle TV 6. LaSalle 56. And you're watching LaSalle 56. LaSalle 56. And you're watching LaSalle 56.
You're old.
Hey! And you're watching LaSalle TV. I did it. I did it. I'm not old.
We've got another week of LaSalle sports coming up, plus spring break. So here's what you have to look forward to. Men's basketball will travel to Chicago on Saturday to take on Loyola Chicago at 4 p.m. They will then travel to the Barclays Center in New York from the 12th to the 17th to participate in the A10 championships. Water polo will participate in the Aztec Individual in San Diego, California over the weekend. They will also be extremely busy over the break playing Cal Baptist and Cal State Northridge on Tuesday, March 12th before leaving California. When returning to the East Coast, they will take on Siena and Iona on Saturday the 16th and VMI on the 17th in Lexington, Virginia.
Lacrosse will take on Davidson College this weekend in North Carolina on Saturday at 1. Over break, they will take on St. Bonaventure and then UMass when we return on Wednesday, March 20th at McCarthy Stadium. Men's rowing will kick off their season over spring break on Saturday, March 16th against Drexel. And finally, women's golf will open up their season on March 18th, participating in the LaSalle Invitational. All right, so there's a couple different things going on. You got some seasons ending or hopefully starting to end. I hope basketball doesn't end as soon as possible. I hope they continue to go on. But then you got a bunch of sports starting up too. So
yeah, water polo going all the way to California. That should be really fun for them. I mean, they still have to play,
I'm jealous.
But yeah, it'll be fun to see. And then even basketball playing at the Barclays Center. I feel like that's fun. Like I get they played at the Wells Fargo Center, which is in Philadelphia, but it just in like New York, seeing like that different like aroma playing in that, I feel like that should be really fun and interesting for them.
Absolutely, yeah. We're lucky to be a conference that has some neutral playoff games. No home court advantage, which will be nice. But the Barclays Center, an awesome place to play, especially for a team like this. I think at the end of the year, they really started to pick it up, and I hope they can bring that momentum into the playoffs and kind of make a run towards the end here, and that would be a great place to do it. Yeah.
And them seeing California to have fun. Okay, that just about wraps it up for us this week. If you can't make it out to see the Explorers play, be sure to tune in next week for our coverage. Keep up with this weekend's other sporting events by visiting goexplorers.com.
Also, check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/LaSalleTV and on Instagram at SportsLine LTV. We welcome you to send us your thoughts and suggestions there.
For our entire SportsLine team, I'm Riley Kowchuk.
And I'm SportsLine's favorite host, Charlie Hugg. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you at the game.